All right, ladies, gentlemen, gamers, and fellow human beings, workers and non workers alike, although this is mostly going to be about workers. Welcome back! Welcome back to another commentary video. So, in my ever abundant quest to try and figure out the secrets and the wonders of the world, I often think, much to my own detriment, I often think. And I thought today, after seeing some pieces of media that are pretty common nowadays, I thought about work. You know, I work, but I was also thinking about work. And what I usually see in the media that prompted this was quiet quitting. So quiet quitting has been a big topic, or at least in the things I'm recommended. It's becoming quite large in terms of the buzz around it. And there's two sides to it, and I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about quiet quitting, how I feel about it, and just what I see hardworking in general get you nowadays. Now, I'm sort of echoing a lot of people's sentiments, or at least a certain group sentiment, but I'm also going to be adding my 2 cents in. And because I always need to justify why I do something, the reason I'm doing this, because I fucking can and because I want to vent, because I'm sick of this shit. That's the problem my thinking gets me into. It provides no solutions, just complaints. But if that's all I could do, that's better than the alternative of what I want to do, which is not something that should be done or shall be named, because then the algorithm really will shadow ban me if it hasn't already. So, regardless, quiet quitting. If you don't know what it is, you were like me a couple months ago. I did not know what quiet quitting was either when it first started popping up. Originally, and from what I know, this is kind of what it is, at least in one respect, quiet quitting is, you know, by definition purely, it's quitting quietly. It's, from my assumption, and from what also ended up being somewhat true, it's quitting without giving any notice. It's just getting up, packing your bags, leaving, not telling anyone, not doing shit. I personally have never done this. I do not plan to ever do this. However, I might do the step under it, which is just say, okay, hey, I'm not coming in anymore. That's it, I'm done. Like, no 2-week bullshit. So far, most of my jobs, I've given them pretty much very reasonable ahead of time notice that, hey, you know, I'm not going to be doing this anymore. There you go. So they could find my replacement, or let's just call it the next sucker. But anyway, that's what I thought quiet quitting was. And while that is, I guess, a definition of it, the more common mainstream definition now of quiet quitting is actually just doing your job. Now, that to me felt kind of weird. Wait a minute. Doing my job? I'm not quitting at all. What's going on? And this opened up my eyes a little bit. I kind of knew this was how it was. And without even knowing it, I was an anti-quiet quitter, or I guess the opposite of a quiet quitter, which is what people would call a hard worker. So I would categorize myself, which with much difficulty doing this, by the way, as a hard worker, or at least decently hard, in the easy jobs that I've gotten. Because if it's easy, why not do the fucking job right? At least that's what I think. But regardless, quiet quitting is basically doing what you were hired to do. Not going above and beyond, just, you know, okay, this is what it says in the employment contract. This is what my job duties are. I'm doing these. That's it. Now, you can obviously take this a literal way, and you could take this in the realistic way. So I think a lot of people take it in the realistic way, mostly because the job power is very strongly skewed towards the employer, not the employee. Although as I've been going on and on, I've somewhat been learning it's not as skewed as I thought, but we'll get into that. So basically what I found the current culture to be is, and again, this is because a lot of the power is with the employer's hands, a lot of employees basically have to go, technically, yes, above and beyond, but this varies from job to job. So what does going above and beyond really mean here? It means doing something that's not in your job description. Doing a favor. You know, picking up a trash or cleaning something. In my job description, it doesn't say, and I'm giving an example here, pretend I'm not like a janitor, right? Whatever my job may be, let's just say data analyst. In my job description, it doesn't say I have to clean up my work area. It doesn't say I have to keep it clean. And, you know, ironically enough, in the job I'm in now, that's kind of done for me to an extent. They do take out my my little trash bin, which I put plastic bottles in, because they give me plastic bottles as water. They're oh so gracious. But, you know, I don't have to go throw that out myself. In other jobs, I had to, because it was part of my job responsibilities. But in my current job now, and in most jobs, it's not a hard responsibility, but people will still end up doing it because it's the nice thing to do or because they don't see it as too much of an inconvenience and it's being generally a good person. Most people will go technically above and beyond to be a good person, to be helpful because they think it's the right thing to do. No harm, no foul, right? You don't feel really like you're being taken advantage of by going this far above and beyond because it's not in a big way. However, then there's the reality of what I think actually going above and beyond is, which is what I actually do in my job. You're hired for one thing and you end up doing the duties of something else, and more specifically to my situation, egregiously so as well. They underpay me and they lie about the position. But regardless, a lot of people now in this day and age, this is what I've come to learn. In America, definitely in New York, you could definitely see this in New York, and especially with all the high profile people talking about this now and what they say. Going above and beyond is sort of expected. We have a sort of hustle culture, as it's called. It's a culture where you're expected not only to do your job, but go above and beyond consistently. Not because you want to, but because you have to. And if you don't, you can actually be fired for these things. Now, this is kind of where it gets into the, in my opinion, disgusting part, the bullshit part. And that's where if you do your job as you were hired to do it, because you're not going above and beyond, they will find some little thing to nick you on, or they will get rid of you for some arbitrary reason you cannot argue, to find the next poor sap that they hope will do more than you. And the sad part is, like I said, because a lot of the power is in the employer's hands more than the employee, because we need fucking money or we starve, and an employer is more well off than we are, at least, for the immediate future, one would hope, unless the company's sinking, that they kind of can pick and choose their employees and just either dump the work on another employee who's not leaving or survive a little bit without an employee who will go above and beyond to try and find a new one. So this ends out being, in my opinion, very toxic. So basically that's what quiet quitting is, though. Right now we have a hustle culture of you need to go above and beyond, and a lot of high profile people, right? I remember, what was it, Kevin O'Leary? Is that this fucker's name? Let me look him up real quick to make sure I know what he looks like. Yep, it's this asswipe. Oh my god. And he's Canadian. He's not even American. So I remember I saw a meme with Kevin O'Leary where he's like, oh, quiet quitting is for losers. If you're a quiet quitter, you do not work for me. And I'm like, bruh. I mean, obviously in the meme, people were upset at him and they made fun of him for subsisting off government like bonds or whatever, or some bullshit. I don't really remember. It doesn't matter though. Basically, a lot of rich people end up saying quiet quitting is bad. Now, there's a lot of different things, or different ways, rather, to look at this, right? Obviously, rich people are not going to like it. One, because I think they're rich. I think most rich people are fucking evil. However, I think obviously it's not in their best interest to promote it. Because who would want to promote their employees not going above and beyond? So, now we get to this idea, right, of quiet quitting. Is it wrong? This was the major question I always had, right? Is it wrong to be a quiet quitter? And is it morally wrong to be a hard worker? So the answer kind of at first seems a little weird, right? The answer I'm going to put forth, and that's yes and no. Well, maybe it might not seem weird if you're a subjectivist like I am, but the answer is basically yes and no. I think that currently, for the majority of situations, it is morally wrong to be a hard worker. Now, again, this isn't for all situations, but I think more often than not in society now, you being a hard worker gets you taken advantage of. Now, I could be very biased, but I'm going off my own experiences here, right? A lot of the stuff I see on social media that's recommended to me, again, this could be very biased because the algorithm does show you technically what you want to see, or what it thinks you want to see. But I see a lot of videos where people are harping on hard work and them working hard and them getting basically shit on. But I do think it's true because I've also experienced it. So, essentially, I think hard work nowadays gets you nothing but being taken advantage of. Nowadays, companies do not care. I don't know what has happened, but maybe it's just greed becoming rampant because it's been allowed to. But I feel like when you're a hard worker, all that you will do will burn yourself out for the good of the company that will give almost nothing back to you. It all goes back to human greed, and it is unfortunate. And like I said before, there are places where hard work will be rewarded. It's so few and far between and it's so rare because it's similar to what I've said in my other videos, where it's sort of like a pseudo rat race. It's sort of like this is the culture, and unless you adopt the culture of being an overachiever, or, you know, as they say, going above and beyond, then you're not going to make it anywhere, right? So you sort of have to be a hard worker to get anywhere, or at least have the chance to. So there are places that aren't like that, like I said, but now all the places that are at the top basically take advantage of people going above and beyond. And then if you don't, you're behind the rest, and then, you know, it's not going to be good for you financially as much as it could be for the others. And people are greedy, so they want to be as financially maximizing as possible. So, is it morally wrong? Well, nothing is morally right and wrong if we look at it from a pure subjective point of view, but in terms of society, where are we at? I think the majority of old people and the majority of people who are middle-aged and old people will definitely be like, yeah, it's wrong, you have to just work hard, that's what you have to do, this, and that. Young people are sort of getting demoralized and dissuaded with reality. More and more, my generation and the generations before me, after me, are realizing this is a load of fucking barnacles. Not only does this not need to be done, but you're getting into an agreement, right? Imagine this just logically speaking. It doesn't make fucking sense. Hey, you know, Jimmy, if you pick 5 apples for me, I'll give you $1, right? For every 5 apples you pick me, I'll give you $1. Jimmy says, okay, sure, I'll pick you your 5 apples. I don't know why I gave him that voice, but just let's roll with it, right? So Jimmy picks me 5 apples every day. I give him $1. I'm like, oh, you know, thanks, Jimmy. You got me my lunch. You know, you got me my lunch for a week for $1, which is pretty fucking cheap. Oh my god. Imagine nowadays it was that much. But, you know, I tell Jimmy thanks. But then I notice over time, you know, he's only picking me 5 apples for $1. And then in the beginning, you know, let's just say he started picking me, or he used to pick me 6 or 7, and I used to still give him the $1. How about we change the situation? I kind of said it wrong. I mean, I'm doing this off the rip, so it's gonna be muddied. But imagine I told little Jimmy, hey, you know, for every day you pick me at least 5 apples, I'll give you $1, right? So for the first couple days, he's picking me 6, 7, around there, right? But then after a while, he picks me 5. And then I go to him, I'm like, you know, Jimmy, you used to pick me 6 or 7 apples, and I gave you the $1 like I said, but now you're only picking me 5. I'm going to find someone else to pick me more apples unless you want to start picking up the pace. But at that point, Jimmy should rightly so question me, saying, oh, but you know, Chris, you only told me I needed to pick at least 5, right? And I'd be like, yeah, but you were doing more and now you're not, and I don't like that. He's like, oh, but this is what we agreed upon. Yeah, well, I don't care, I'm greedy. I think it is not morally wrong whatsoever to quote-unquote be a quiet quitter. Quiet quitting is literally just doing your fucking job. If you do not compensate me for doing more, because already I think companies are paying way less than they should, because the quality of life, and again, I'm speaking as a New Yorker here, the quality of life we get with minimum is not even livable. So the fact that they're getting away with making a profit and we're barely scraping by, most of us at least, on minimum, is fucking stupid. It's stupid and disrespectful. So I don't think it's morally wrong to say, hey, if I'm going to do more, you're going to compensate me for more. I think that's perfectly fine. And anything you want to do above what you're hired to do is appreciated. And some things I think morally should be done. Like, you know, little things that don't inconvenience you. But doing more of an actual job is fucking ridiculous. It's honestly fucking ridiculous. So, is it morally wrong? I personally think not. I think the majority of people will still say yes. But the population of people who are saying no, it's not wrong, it's fucking asinine, and it doesn't make logical sense, it's increasing, and I'm happy. So basically, you know, jobs generally nowadays, like I said, are pretty hustle culture reliant. I don't think it'll really change. It's sort of the whole thing of this 4-day work week everyone's talking about. Oh, you know, 4-day work week, Congress is thinking about it, da 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 da. I guarantee you, it's not going to be years. I hope I eat my words here. But I guarantee you it's not going to be years, if at all, we see any progress towards this movement, because it is so against what these people who are in business will believe. It's sort of like this Fortnite argument I constantly make, right? Fortnite almost revolutionized the way games are being, like, seen, right? Fortnite offers you so much free shit, and then they still make so much money. And people are trying to crack why this is, but I can make a whole other video on this, so I won't go too in depth on it. I'll probably make another video on it, but Fortnite basically makes oodles of money to where they have made the Epic launcher almost a competitor to Steam. It's not there yet, but it's definitely there. It's definitely on the radar now. And they give away 2 free games every week. Some of them are shit, some of them are not too bad. But they give away free games every fucking week. And they are able to do this with all the profit they're making from fucking Fortnite. I don't know if it's solely Fortnite anymore, but a big part of it was definitely due to Fortnite and how successful Fortnite was. Fortnite is like their fucking golden cash money goose. But regardless, they did this, right? And it defies logic. Why would you give your friends so much free shit, right? The fans do not deserve free shit. They deserve to buy it and give us money. But by giving away so much free shit and offering so much more good things, Fortnite made oodles of money. It's the same thing with the 4-day work week. The 4-day work week is seen, right, as by a businessman. Why would I want my employees to work less? I want to get more money, and it doesn't make sense. How will this lead to more money for me and just not a whole total negative to me, aside from my employees feeling a little bit happier, which I would say at that point they're discrediting our feelings and how much that actually matters towards work, because that's why people end up fucking killing themselves because of work and burnout. But regardless, I have a lot of issues with work. What ends up happening is the fucking research, from what I've seen, of the few little research pieces I've seen, actually support a 4-day work week being effective. I think it was some high-ass percentage, at least 80 or above. See, this is going to be the folly here where I didn't look up my sources, but just trust me on this one and look it up yourself and prove me wrong in the comment section below if you don't believe me. Look up studies saying how effective is the 4-day work week at decreasing productivity. It really doesn't. A lot of the percentages of what I've seen from the data I have seen have shown just increases or net neutrals of having a 4-day work week. And at that point, you're creating goodwill, which I always say is invaluable, and people are just generally happier. And there's almost no downside. In a majority of cases, there's no downside. But like I said, this is like the 4-day work week where it's going to take forever, if at all, to have any progress. And by this, I mean the changing in work culture, of hustle culture, to actually doing what you're fucking paid to do and not going above and beyond. It's like not going to change because the majority and the people in power want it to be that way. And like I said, they're the majority. So it really won't go anywhere, and it's very sad. But to go back to the main question, is it morally right to be a hard worker? No. If you're working for a lot of the major companies or just people in general, where the vast majority will just take advantage of it and not really provide you with any real benefit that actually matters. Yes, if you find a company you either care about, are passionate about, or will treat you right. So the majority of the time, no, it's not morally right to be a hard worker. Sometimes, yes, it is. And by hard worker, I don't mean, not doing your job. I mean doing your job and then some. A hard worker, I think, goes above and beyond. A regular worker does what's asked of them, and that's it. So yeah, that was the question I want to talk about and kind of give my 2 cents on. I hope everyone enjoyed. If you did, please tell me in the comment section if there's anything else you would like me to talk about. And also, I stream on Twitch every single day. Or at least I try to. You come out there and hang out with me and talk to me and pick my brain about any random question, or just hang out and give me views because I need viewers. And I'm sick of fucking working. But anyway, I hope everyone enjoyed. Eee!